Welcome everyone. Welcome back to the Eternal Tournament series. We have Unearthly here today against HiThar, Argenport mid-range. I think the only Argenport mid-range in the tournament versus HiThar's Dark Combre. So a lot of shadow going on here, a lot of fun like sort of resurrection shenanigans, and should be a really exciting matchup.
Oh yeah, definitely. Unearthly is in fact the only Argenport left, and I believe that HiThar also, or not left, but the only one in here. And I do also believe that HiThar is the only full, or at least main Combray based list, sort of the traditional Combray, other than the Vodafone. Of course,
We have
he's
the Vodafone, the Scouting Party decks, and then we have Bruised Combre here with HiThar, the Shadow Slay shenanigans with all of the different sort of little ways to trick out those extra units.
Yeah, Unearthly being one of the only people to keep going with Argenport after the Bart nerf, and it looks like he does still carry the four Bartholos in the sideboard, but not here in the main board. He's sort of opting for unexpectedly a very Rakano-based almost Argenport main board list. No Arc Rune Hammers, just kind of a lot of weapons and units, and just tries to bash through sort of old-fashioned style.
Early aggression in that Argenport list. It's very, very fast. It does not have any 1-drops, but Instigator and Overseer both make excellent 2-drops. And then at the 3 mark, he's got the Interrogators and Enforcers. At the 4 mark, Impending Doom and Tavrod at the top. Both players getting off to a very slow start here, though. Nothing played until turn 3 when HiThar drops his first Seraph.
Yeah, Unearthly actually having a little bit of a snail speed hand over here. A whole bunch of removal, with only the Slay being active right now. And it looks like his first unit is actually going to be Tavrod unless he's able to get anything else before then. And I can't imagine that the Tavrod's going to stick around for more than half of a second once it drops on the board.
Be pretty rough. HiThar does have the Vanquish in hand. He's also got a Banish for the smaller units that Unearthly can play, so he's not going to have to throw Vanquish immediately. That means that Unearthly's got kind of a poor setup. He's going to be basically playing Sabotage early if he can, trying to pick up that Vanquish basically around turn 4 before Tavrod comes down. And if he does that, he might be able to stick the Tavrod for a turn. We see
Yes,
HiThar's
with that.
trademark Dark Return off the Bruised Combre list, sending out Knight Chancellor Seraph a second time, but a little bit bigger.
Yes, Unearthly drawing an Arc Interrogator off the top. No ways of protecting it just yet, but he does have the Sabotage, which will actually help him get out some removal here. And this is going to be really good for him because at this point, there's not going to be many ways for Unearthly to really win this matchup unless he's able to really start beating down immediately. HiThar, though his hand is a little bit empty, has a much stronger late game, all things considered, than Unearthly does, and he will be able to really take over pretty soon unless Unearthly can start beating down quickly.
Unearthly didn't have a great choice there. It was either Vanquish or Vanquish. He could have maybe picked up the Banish or the Protect if he wanted to sort of force HiThar to use his first Vanquish on the Auric Interrogator. Right now, he's throwing out the Vanquish in the hopes that HiThar will waste his removal early, but there is still the Banish, so Auric Interrogator does go down. And now Unearthly is left with kind of a rough situation against the 4-5 on board.
Yeah, I imagine he goes for the Bar's Favor on the face, gets that power that'll unlock his Emerald Monument and allow him to play Tavrod next turn, and then he'll probably just drop the Tinker Overseer, and there's that. Passing over to HiThar, still kind of looking at a little bit of an empty hand. He gets Seek Power off the top, which will be nice, but it's not any action. And now
Yeah.
Unearthly actually this is starting to look a lot better for him. He's got several options, and looks like he puts the weapon on the Tinker Overseer and swings in, only to be met by a Banish.
That's a really rough sell. He really wanted that weapon on the Overseer specifically to draw out the Vanquish. And now that he's losing on board, he's going to have a hard time because HiThar's deck is going to be the slower deck. He can't play Tavrod as long as he knows that there's a Vanquish up until he has a Protect or some other way to sort of save it. So he's basically stuck here. He's got the Valkyrie Enforcer to silence units. He goes to silence the 3-4 as opposed to the 4-5. I'm not sure if I agree with that play, but it's possible that he's hoping to draw a Vanquish for the other threat. And beyond that, like, this is just really, really rough. Bloodletter will allow him to stabilize a little bit, get 6 in the air, and also get 6 health back. But HiThar is still under no pressure to Vanquish here.
Yeah, It's actually really interesting because I'm looking at Unearthly's deck really quickly. He actually has no vanquishes in the main board, so I wonder what he was intending there with the silence on the right side. Not sure if it's going to matter too much here. And he rips a Slay off the top, which is pretty big for him.
Yeah, that's the answer he wants. He gets to kill the 4/5 exactly as planned, and then after that he can block the Seraph and or at least force a Vanquish out before playing Tavrod. If he manages to set that up, that's going to be really, really big for him. HiThar might Vanquish here. It seems like a pretty solid way to try and win the game, but he's got to know that if he throws out the Vanquish too early against Tavrod, he's going to run into a lot of trouble later. So it's basically a question of whether or not HiThar thinks he can race.
Yeah, I believe Unearthly did see the protect earlier when he went for the Slay with the sabotage. Or sorry, yeah, he saw the protect earlier when he went in with the sabotage, which means that he's holding back and he's just going to try and build up this board here. HiThar
Interesting
now.
line. He's held the Tavrod back for so long at this point, and now he plays it into the Vanquish, which he knows was there. So that's the end of the Vanquish, and now he's just got a 6/6 in the air. I feel like Tavrod was sort of his way out of this match, but he draws into another one. So what do I know?
Well,
That's a heck of a top deck. So he gets to play the second one. Blockers. I think he's very, very afraid of essentially just removal blowing him out at this point. But Hythar's getting into the point where he can start activating Seraphs as well. So this is going to get really, really rough, really, really
yeah.
fast.
Ooh, but he draws a Parliament, which actually is probably a little bit of a bigger deal than hitting a Seraph spin right there. Now Unearthly has to decide, knowing that Protect is the last card, how exactly he's going to try and navigate this board.
He's got to kill this turn, which means throwing basically both the Annihilate and the Slay. He can attack with Tavrod, and if he does, he'll have the ability to throw an Annihilate, but that won't really save the Tavrod. Really a question of whether or not he's going to be trying to throw his removal early. He can annihilate the 4/4 in the air. That seems like a really solid way to get the Protect out of hand to slay Seraph, so that Seraph no longer starts generating units. But
yeah, it's
bad news at the moment.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky here because on one hand he does need to stop the Seraph to stop those spins from going, but on the other hand, I mean those two owls will actually just kill him in the air within 1 to 2 turns. He can swing past the 6/6 without any fear of really dying on the crackback. So we see him in the tank here trying to think about what exactly he's going to do.
I think he's dead on board. He
Yeah,
has Annihilate and Slay, but with the Protect, one of these units is going to survive. That means he only has 2 blockers. Hacks, then he's going to lose the Tavrod. But I guess at that point, he actually can actually get it down to a situation where it's 2 attackers against 1 blocker, at which point he only takes 3 damage.
Yeah. It looks like he's going to be able to survive for just 1 more turn, but he will be out of things unless he can draw something off the Tavrod if he chooses to attack.
This is the line I like. Annihilate versus the 4/4 means that the 4/4 goes to Protect. HiThar can throw a Protect on it, or he can try to save the Seraph, but pulling his flyers is probably more valuable to him than the Seraph at the moment.
Yes.
And Unearthly knows that Seraph is actually the big threat here, so he goes for that. Wants to. It'll get rid of one of the big units in the air, so that forces like really, really bad blocks and also gets him card draw. And like actually just sitting back here doesn't seem to do anything. I'm not sure if I like this play as much.
Yeah, he opts for not attacking, which is really interesting here because, I mean, it seemed like that was his only way of really getting back in. But I know that he's probably a little afraid of getting double blocked out and having HiThar take over. I think he just likes the comfort of just having Tavrod on the board. And now we're in a little bit of a board stall with Sandstorm Titan.
Unearthly forcing the board stall, trying to sort of play defensively. Like, this is a good way to save your Tavrod and stay alive on board for a while. Valkyrie Enforcer will allow him to not really push in, but at least sort of silence some of the flyers or... yeah, there's not really a lot that Valkyrie Enforcer can do here. He can silence Sandstorm Titan, but that actually puts him into a worse position. So it's like, it's a little bit tricky here. He could also save Valkyrie Enforcer, but that really means that he's going to be in trouble if he sees any sort of removal. So he's got to play this out, and he's got to figure out what he wants to silence. I think he might go for an Owl as opposed to Titan.
Yeah. Oh, he actually goes for the Titan. That's very interesting. I suppose he does have a slight flyer advantage, but I think maybe he realizes that that's going to be his best way of getting in. But now HiThar has a couple ways to get through. If he's able to answer the Valkyrie Enforcer with the weapon on it, that will give him a pretty clear path in the air to actually finish out the game.
He can pressure with Valkyrie Enforcer in Varro's favor. That's a aggressive play that he doesn't really want to do. As long as he's stuck on defense, I think HiThar has the sort of advantage, but this is going to be a really rough match as far as things go.
Yeah, HiThar's all of his top decks are pretty live from here on out. Another Parliament would put him in great shape. Mystic Ascendant, because he's sitting on that power hand especially. So Unearthly has really got to find whatever way that he can to get in that 18 damage. But meanwhile, he's looking a little bit cornered with only 6 HP in this Vara's favor, not really doing him any help. He does opt in to swing in.
Oh yeah, looking at Unearthly's main deck, I just think that I see why he's not attacking with the Tavrod. Tavrod really doesn't actually get him much here. He just gets basically either a Bloodletter or a Emerald Monument, and there's only 7 cards that he can hit, so it's possible that he's not going to get anything valuable out of the attack, and Tavrod's just a big dude for him.
Yeah, it's very very low on the Tavrod targets, and Tavrod here mostly just being a very large Sandstorm Titan, and he does rip a Mystic Ascendant off the top.
That's one of the very best rips that HiThar can get. Unearthly with a Protect, that's not going to help him. I think he's in a lot of trouble now.
I think so.
There's not... Yeah, basically if HiThar has power, then Mystic Ascendant becomes too big to handle. If he has anything else, then he's probably got a way around Tavrod. So this is going to be game for Unearthly very quickly here.
Yeah, it's going to start really going in HiThar's favor very quickly. Both players just sitting on a Protect right now.
Neither one going to be able to remove the other's stuff, but... Oh, Valkyrie Enforcer for Unearthly, and HiThar did not draw power. This is not going to help him too. He's going to throw it at the Mystic Ascendant, but it's not going to be good enough with the Protect up. So, card engine going. And Unearthly not playing enough stuff on board to really make a difference.
Yeah,
here.
He opts to silence it just to give him all this air presence. I'm sure this is going to draw out a Protect from HiThar. There it is.
The 4/4 is still on board.
Yeah. I can't imagine, unless Unearthly gets another several flyers, I can't imagine that he ends up, that HiThar ends up harsh ruling this board. So I think it's kind of just up to HiThar at this point just to keep building up so that he can finally just get in those last few points of damage.
Yeah, I think that Unearthly doesn't have many good plays here. It seems like he's playing very erratically, but mainly he just doesn't have good options. He's got no way to get past all of this big stuff. The second Great Parliament is going to be the nail in the coffin. Unless Unearthly can harsh rule, which of course he doesn't have, there's just no way to actually get past this. We have Tavrod on board. Unearthly can Vara's favor for 1. That's going to be not enough. He's got too much damage basically facing him down. I think he's dead this turn.
Yeah, I think that
managed to do anything, and I don't think there's anything that he can do.
Yeah, I think HiThar checking, thinking about what options he can do. Unearthly goes for the Tavrod swing just to see if he can get anything. I'm probably going to get swiftly jumped. I think this is actually a sort of a signal to HiThar that Unearthly is just out of options.
See basically an opportunity to draw a card. It looks like because of the pause, he is actually going to get some sort of weapon off of this. And if he can make a very, very big flyer, that'll help him somewhat. But he's going to be trading evenly for something. He picks up a Tavrod. That's actually really solid. 10-7 Tavrod plus a dead unit on board is actually really, really good for him.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Looking at his Tavrod hit, it actually was a Tavrod and 3 Auric Interrogators alongside a Diplomatic Seal.
Some solid Minotaur choices there.
Yes.
Okay, so he can either kill a flyer or he can kill the Sandstorm Titan with Vara's favor. Either option seems pretty okay. If he can just get rid of some of these units and then play down another blocker, that puts him in a situation where he's kind of not dead on board anymore.
Yeah, I
Oh, that's
imagine.
the block he's looking for, though. A 5 damage to the Mystic Ascendant, followed by a Vara's Favor, will kill the Mystic Ascendant and mean that essentially HiThar doesn't have the ability to continue to draw threats against Unearthly.
I think he's okay with that. I mean, it's definitely hard for him, but I think he knows at this point that his owls are going to be his best way of closing out the game, and that's probably why he ends up why he chose to not use the owls there. This is
So
a. Oh, go ahead.
you're all good. Unearthly is sitting on a huge amount of stuff. Like basically, he has a reasonable amount of presence in the air. He has a very very good unit on the ground, and this is just going to be really tricky for HiThar to deal with now. I think at this point, Unearthly might be able to swing this back. He can stabilize from this point onwards.
Yes, he can. Kind of crazy how he was able to dig himself out of this. Either just staring at a harsh rule in hand, and I don't think he quite wants to use it, but at the same time, he has been a little bit backed into a corner, so he just passes. Unearthly drawing an Instigator off the top, which actually might help him get the final damage he needs to close out the game.
This is bad for him and bad for HiThar. It's hard to say if this is going to be particularly lethal. I think Unearthly definitely wants to attack with Tavrod here since it gets rid of 2 threats on board. And potentially gets rid of owls, which is very, very good for him.
Yes. I think more than likely the Seraph is probably just going to be a chump blocker at this point. Seraph not really adding to the board in any meaningful way other than adding an extra 3 damage.
HiThar probably looking to sort of preserve his air force.
Yeah.
Certainly that's going to be his best way in here. Tavrod attacking. Unearthly does decide to go for that. He's playing very slowly and very carefully. He picks up the Bloodletter, which is
Oh,
huge for him here.
that is
He
that
does
is a
not get
really big
another
draw.
Minotaur, but he's slowly pushing through to get other Tavrods. And if he finds the right stuff, that's really going to be helpful for him.
Yeah. Looking at the discard pile, there were no other Minotaurs in there, but there was a Bloodletter, a second one. So HiThar has no idea whether he drew another Tavrod, another Minotaur, or a weapon. And Unearthly doesn't show anything here.
Is going to be pretty tricky. Like, HiThar definitely is going to know that there is a weapon in Unearthly's hand, and it's got to be Bloodletter. It's either that or Emerald Monument, which isn't going to be crazy good here. This is really interesting, this attack here. This pushes against Unearthly and gets him into a situation where he's going to be doing super well.
I think he's going to harsh rule immediately after this. I think that's
Yeah, a harsh roll to follow up would be a good answer to the weapon, but with the protect, something's going to stick around.
HiThar, I don't believe is mainboarding any stand togethers. So Unearthly he's switching his blocks around a little bit, but I can't imagine that he's trying to play around it.
Trying to preserve as much life as possible and then attack in for 6 for lethal. Like, he knows that HiThar has to harsh roll after this because
Yes.
there's no way that he's going to get around it unless he has a Sandstorm Titan. So this is a path to victory for Unearthly. If HiThar doesn't harsh roll, that's going to be game. And HiThar's got to know it because there is a weapon in Unearthly's hand.
Absolutely.
We see options for him here. If HiThar harsh rolls, I think Unearthly wins. Protects or anything else in his hand. Yeah, no, Unearthly's actually got this game.
And
Harsh
wow.
roll. Wow, that is just an amazing save by Unearthly. So we see the protect on the Valkyrie Enforcer. That's going to be exactly 6 damage, plus Bloodletter is 8. So he's got exact lethal. This was intense. I am really impressed with Unearthly's play this game. He that were very just very confusing to look at, but in the end, he did actually pull out the late game victory that he was looking for, and that was a really impressive display.
I think that was some of the best Eternal that we have seen playing in this game. Unearthly with an incredible sense of knowing exactly what he needs to get through, holding back with the Tavrod attacks for the longest time until it's the opportune time for him to start drawing weapons. Keeps his board as bulked up as he can so that HiThar can't swing in, and then is able to just draw just the right cards, knowing that those were his only outs, and is able to finally close out the game. It was absolutely incredible.
The top 16 list is full of amazing players, but I think Unearthly's particular strength that he brings to the table is that he practices his lists just to a really impressive extent. So he'll play things that look very basic and very simple, and then he'll just have all of these different lines that other people would never consider because he's played with these decks so much that he just knows what exactly it is that he needs. And that was like really, really impressive. So we will be
Very
seeing
impressive.
a second game here. Both players are going to go into sideboards. Unearthly has the option of throwing in some more Vanquishes. He's got Oathbooks and Suffocates and Protects. He has Bartholo, which is something certainly worth considering. And we're going to see exactly what he decides to bring in.
Yeah, it's really interesting here whether I think for Unearthly the big question, at least for us, is whether he brings in the Bartholos or not. I do imagine that he brings in the Oath books, but I can also see a reason as to why he wouldn't. Do you have
Yeah,
any
the
insights
Oath
there?
books don't provide him with a lot of extra value on board, but they can get him big, big units that are going to really help him out. At this point, we see Unearthly with 2 Sabotages, so he's definitely going to be trying to toss those Protects out of HiThar's hands, and basically just increasing the amount of like Vanquishes that he can hit. All of that kind of nasty stuff. These aren't sideboards. He's actually always had 4 Sabotages in the hand, but
Yes.
every Sabotage that hits here is going to be very, very good for him.
Yeah, and he has a little bit more of an aggressive start this time with an actual turn 2 play. HiThar, in the meantime, is going to be able to play Seraph, and then if he draws another power, he'll get Sandstorm Titan, but otherwise he's a little bit empty on plays, and draws a third Mystic Ascendant.
Yeah, HiThar's curve looks good against Unearthly's curve just because he's playing a 3-4 into a 3-3 and a 5-6 into a 5-5. But if Unearthly can find a correct answer, that's really going to help him here. So one
Yeah,
thing he might do here is attack. If he gets the Varus favor off on the Seraph dies. And then he also gets to play Sabotage if he feels like it, but he knows that there's not anything in at the moment.
yeah, he HiThar goes ahead and takes the block, and that loses Seraph, and now he's stuck. Kind of okay. He does find the power and is able to play Sandstorm Titan, so that's really good. And HiThar's going to need to draw a whole lot more power from here on out so that he can get those Mystic Ascendants going.
Sabotage is a very good card, except when it isn't. And this is one of
Except
those
when,
situations where it isn't. At this point, it's completely blank. HiThar has nothing but units in hand, and Impending Doom doesn't really play against Sandstorm Titan, so Unearthly's kind of forced to just sit here for a bit. He's going to be
yeah,
able to play Tavrod, and that, if HiThar can't get to his Mystic Ascendants, is going to be really, really good for him. Like, we
yeah.
have...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, the Titan versus the Tavrod is a pretty solid matchup here. Unearthly's got to be afraid that there's some sort of trick, but he's also pretty willing to block here because he knows that there's no trick that's going to get 2 extra damage. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's
HiThar just testing him there. We do see the Bartholo and another Sabotage off that draw.
that's 2 dead cards for Unearthly, and the second Sandstorm Titan for HiThar was a very, very good top deck for him because he's now in a situation where he basically just gets to sit against Tavrod. Unearthly
Yes.
really wants to keep these Tavrods alive. They're incredibly useful units for him, and everything that he kills is going to be really, really helpful here. He can throw a Sabotage to try and pick up a Protect or some other card. He actually gets the Banish, although, yeah, the Banish is not playable because HiThar does not
Oh,
have the Shadow.
he's missing the Shadow. Now he's going to get the Tavrod swing, which is going to leave him vulnerable to a double block. But I think Unearthly is just looking for a Bloodletter, realizing that's his best way out. And he does find it.
Yeah, he's not worried about the double block because he has the Annihilate, but there's not really
Oh,
a
true,
reason
true.
to attack here before annihilating. It's just sort of like he knows that
Yes.
HiThar doesn't have a trick in hand, so he's
Yeah.
just gonna swing in, get the Annihilate, get the Bloodletter, and that's a really, really solid weapon for him. To get him up to
And
10, which is going to be enough to kill both Sandstorm Titans in one go, while also gaining 13, if that's what he wants to go for.
yeah, so now he's got the
Bart,
Bartholo and Bloodletter combo, which is going to let him finish out the game.
it's just
That's
like Bart.
ugh.
Like, yeah, no, this is going to be really disgusting. He's got the Protect up. He's already got rid of all of HiThar's useful removal spells, and he knows that there aren't going to be any more for a very long time. So if he Bloodletters here, if he throws the Sabotage at any point just to try and get rid of cards in HiThar's hand, and if he's just attacking for 10 every turn, that's all she wrote for HiThar. I don't think there's any way that he can get around this.
Yeah, the Sabotages did the work that he needed of getting rid of some of that removal, and now he is just kind of clear to keep swinging through. HiThar having a whole bunch of Mystic Ascendants and not a lot of power to go with them.
Unearthly throwing the Sabotage here because basically any
Why
spell
not?
that HiThar has is the only out that HiThar has. And
Hmm.
now HiThar's going to get 2 draws to try and kill Bart. He's going to need essentially a Banish into a Banish, and he's going to need a Shadow. Doesn't have it, so Unearthly
And
takes the
there's the
series
concede.
2-0.
Wow. That is a really incredible comeback considering the place that Unearthly was in game one.
He did a really, really good job of securing that game, and then he was able to sideboard in the Barts and execute on a particular strategy against the Combre list that he knew was going to work. Just really solid play from Unearthly, and definitely a deserved win.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, let's see. Do we have any backups planned for the moment? Looks like we have a game of Toth versus Speed of Lightning, Roar of Thunder. It's the underdog. We gotta go ahead and we're hopefully gonna see that in just a second here. Mouche is actually 2-0 at the moment. After a really abysmal performance early in the round robin, he managed to take it out of the single elimination brackets against me, actually, and throw himself into the middle eight. So he's got a really good chance of sort of taking this whole thing back after basically, I think, going 14, was it 13-15 or 13-2 or 2-13? Oh my goodness.
213, yes. He lost very sadly every single game on day one, still managed to, in the bottom four, make his way out. And here he is once again, now starting the day 2-0. It'll be really interesting to see whether he can keep this up. And right now, this is game 3 against Toth. So
I'm
they're
spying on Mouche's hand at the moment, and we see a Kothin, an Amber Acolyte, and a Sandstorm Titan. It's looking like a very good curve for Mouche.
Yeah, Toth, on the other hand, has a lot of powerful stuff, but it's all really expensive. His first play is going to be turn 4 with Praxis Displacer, unless he's able to get anything else in the meantime there. I can't imagine that being the Praxis player, he doesn't have a ton of early game stuff, and I imagine that he probably wants to just stick to his late game plan to try and go over the top of the TJP deck, realizing that that's probably the best way to go through them.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. We'll see if Mouche can pull it out. But yeah, they are currently on game 3, so whoever wins this one wins the round.
All right, and looks like players are having just a quick chat back and forth, just making sure that both players are ready to go. First turn has been played, and nothing else just yet.
Have a Island's Choice and an Amber Acolyte on Mouche's side, so he's got good answers to some of the big stuff late. He's got to be able to play a really aggressive start. Kothin, Awakened Student, and then Sandstorm Titan. That's actually like an even better curve than he had before with that Awakened Student draw.
Yeah, that Awakened Student is huge draw right there. Going to really make his curve even more powerful, especially because Toth has no real interaction for that. The Praxis Displacer is very weak against the Student.
He's also not looking at a great hand. Like, he does have the Heart of the Vault in hand, which is a pretty key card in this matchup. Like, basically, any time that you're playing Heart of the Vault, you're doing well in Praxis decks. And he's also got the Obliterate, so he's got kind of a really good sort of late game going on. But he's got to deal with a lot of early game first, and that's not something that his deck's currently doing very strongly.
Yeah, just looking at Mouche's hand versus Toth's hand, I kind of have to say that Mouche is really favored at the moment, but it wouldn't be the first time I've seen a string of Heart of the Vault draws take over the game from what was previously a losing game to a completely dominating board state.
Yeah, we see Awakened Student down. Praxis Displacer is going to maybe pop it back into the hand, which means that Mouche is going to be forced to either play 2 drops or a Sandstorm Titan. But his attacks still look pretty good. He's still being able to pressure the advantage. And on top of that, he's got Scouting Party as a curve topper now, which is just disgusting with the Xenon Obelisk he's just drawn.
Oh, yes. Mouche looks like he's in the tank right now. He's definitely not going to go for Obelisk because he just went for the attack. Uh, he's probably thinking about whether or not Toth has a Obliterate that he can play. He's going to go for the Sandstorm Titan, just accepting that he might get it blown away.
Taking 6 to the Sandstorm Titan is better than taking 6 to the face for the most part.
Absolutely.
Also allows him to preserve Kothin for another turn, so if there is an Obliterate, then that's one of the only answers to Kothin that Toth has. And with Mouche playing Kothin on turn 5, he's going to be able to play that Kothin ultimate the turn after if he chooses to.
Oh, that's very true. We do see the Obliterate on the Sandstorm Titan, and he swings back for 3. Mouche picking up a Vanquish, which is yet another really good draw for him. He replays the student. He's going to have power, and then my guess is that he's going to keep it open and just hold Eileen's Choice back.
Yeah, Mouche's hand is blessed here. He's just got every possible good option available. He has the Vanquishes. So he can get rid of the big things that Toth plays very efficiently while pressuring in. He has Kothin, so that he has some cool late game presence. And he has Scouting Party for late game presence. He has Xenon Obelisk to synergize with all of the small units that he's playing. Like, he's just basically looking at exactly the kind of draws that you want the Combre Party deck to get. And this deck is sort of known for being pretty unstable and difficult to sort of get all of its stuff together. But all of this, like, just perfectly in curve. He's got all of the right influence. He's looking at a really, really good setup. And I think he's got a very good chance of winning this game against Toth.
Yeah. Toth now is in a little bit of an iffy spot. He's likely deciding between dropping Heart of the Vault and just trying to get some value going, or playing Dawnwalker with the Xenon Initiation in order to try and establish that. But he sees that Mouche has 3 power open, which could be a Desert Marshal or an Eileen's Choice, and both of those would stop his Dawnwalker from getting off with the silence from the police officer, the Desert Marshal, being much more brutal here for him. So he's really tanking on that.
Yeah, that Desert Marshal could be very scary.
Yeah, if you're Toth, what play do you think you go for here? Well, he makes he plays the Heart of the Vault.
The Heart of the Vault, that's going to refill his hand, give him a couple more options. It also gives him like some discounted stuff to sort of pressure. This attack is completely wrong for all the wrong reasons. Like, there's no reason to attack here, and I think he committed to it. So Mouche is just going to block. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, he's. Oh, I was going to say he's trying to bluff the torch, but he actually did draw the torch off the top. And Mouche just doesn't want to risk it, and he ends up taking it.
Yeah, okay. Well, good read from Mouche. I didn't actually see that he was going to draw the card that costs 0. And yeah, well, there you go. So he doesn't lose his Awakened Student. He gets to pressure here anyways. And now he knows there's a torch. So he's going to be able to sort of play around that, not throw down his Kothin in a situation where he's going to be in trouble. Some pretty good ways to do that. If he sets up Obelisk, then Kothin's going to be torch-proof. Amber Acolyte is going to get him 6 power here, which is enough to play Scouting Party. And that's a good way to follow up with Obelisk.
Yeah, Toth actually able to stabilize the board just a little bit more with that Heart of the Vault. Even though it got vanquished, it kind of put Mouche on the back foot. Because an Amber Acolyte follow-up is not exactly the most incredible way to keep the tempo going.
Very seriously consider holding up Island's Choice here, but he decided to go for the 6 power because obviously Scouting Party is just a bananas card here. Xenon Initiation does trigger, so Toth, now free to attack, gets the trade that he's looking for, but that leaves his board very empty. But he's probably going to be Mouche's next play.
Yes, it's still a really good pickup for Toth there, because now he's going to be able to bring it back next turn with the Shatterglass Mage, or any other big thing that he draws. And I think it's going to be hard to fight down these all these Yetis, but he might, if he's able to survive past the first Scouting Party, which is not looking too likely. But if he can, he might be able to actually just killer his way to victory by just slowly killing all the Yetis.
Worst thing in the world at the moment. He can play Amber Acolyte into Shatterglass Mage. That gives him 3 blockers. He has the 0-cost Torch, which he's already thrown. And then Shatterglass Mage means that he's got enough blockers for the Yetis. He's not in any particularly threatening position.
Yeah. Now, Mouche here, I can't imagine that he... well, actually, no. I was going to say that the Xenon Obelisk is the play, but I don't think that actually helps his position too much right now. So he's got a couple of options, and none of them are crazy good, but none of them are bad. It looks like he's going to go for Sirach and holding Eileen's Choice back.
That seems like a pretty reasonable play. It could come back to bite him later. Like, if he wants to go for Kothin as well, that's another good option. I actually kind of like Kothin better than Seraph here, but very solid card that's going to allow him to block and defend himself against Shatterglass Mage pressure. He doesn't really want to get into a situation where there's a lot of counter pressure.
Yeah, I wonder if Mouche was opting to okay, no, so he is going to play Eileen's Choice on that. I was going to say, I wonder if he was trying to bait it out so that he could have Kothon be safe, but he was planning on playing the Eileen's Choice the whole time.
And see the obelisk if Mouche wants it. He's got the Sandstorm Titan as an option. He has Kothan the Far Watcher. There's a couple of different ways that he could play this. I think that he's gonna want Xenon Obelisk down before Kothan if he's worried about torches, which he shouldn't be, but Toth has drawn one as his final card.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little tricky to see what he's going for here. I think that I like the Obelisk Kothan play the best since it's the most efficient, and it also means that he's just got a really big board going on. But he's actually forcing more blockers to go down so that his scouting party has a better chance.
Yeah, and then so it looks like he's just going to try and take this trade, see if he can get get just a little bit more chip damage in, and then he'll probably follow up with either the Sandstorm Titan or the Kothon, and then another Seraph, and then probably next turn drop the Obelisk. I bet now that he's trying to hold that back until the very last possible moment so that he doesn't get it destroyed by another Shattered Glass Mage.
So this play does mean that he's vulnerable to Torch, but he gets the Sandstorm Titan down, and that's going to give him even more pressure. Toth, on his last legs at the moment, really looking for ways to answer all of the big threats that Mouche is playing. But with an Obelisk, the next attack is going to be very, very scary, and Toth has not necessarily drawn the correct answer.
Yeah, this
my
is not
stream of
Toth
just lost hand cam, so I have no idea what he's got in hand, but this doesn't look good.
Same here. Yeah, I can't see what he's got going on, but Mouche does play Obelisk and just a spaces in. It's not quite lethal, but it might as well be because with 2 cards and 7 damage, it's going to be really hard for Toth to come back from this.
Not a lot of good options. He can't block 2 Yetis because that will kill him. The best he can do is block, like trading for Amber Acolyte either. There's so much damage here that at that point it doesn't really matter that you've sort of gone up on board position. I think Toth is just, there's no way that he can actually get out of this.
Yeah, he's just
practice does not have that much removal. Picks up a Seed of Progress, and he's going to take this to go up 3-0 in the round robin. Heart of the Vault will kill one of the Yetis and actually provide a pretty good blocker, and it actually brings back Dawnwalker as well, so Toth has Xenon Initiation here. He can kill the 6/7, and he actually drew an Amber Acolyte, so he's alive, except there's Permafrost. So.
Yeah, the Permafrost is going to close out the game here for Mouche. But almost the series of draws that he needed, actually.
This looks almost exactly like he's going to survive.
Oh no, with the Xenon Initiation in hand, yeah, he actually does manage to stabilize the board. It stabilizes
the Permafrost, but yeah.
Oh no, never mind. Sorry, the Permafrost, yeah, takes it over. What am I saying? All right, that's the game for Mouche.
Oh, it was a really close thing. Toth actually picked up all of the right cards for the board that he was faced with, but Mouche still had his trick in hand. So that ends the game, and Mouche, the underdog, now up 3.
Yeah, that's a pretty incredible comeback for Mouche here. So I believe we have a 9-round round robin. So anybody who's about 5 or 6 wins is going to be guaranteed for that top 4. So Mouche actually winning about half of the games that he needs so far.
Should be in very, very good shape. It could all turn around on him again, but we'll see exactly how it goes during the next couple of matches. So yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting to see if Mouche can make it into the top 8. That's a guaranteed, I think, $100 prize at least. It's really ridiculous. So yeah, no, he's definitely come a long way.
Absolutely. And I believe that is going to be all the matches for the round. Yes, all the matches look to be done. Will we be going to a video, or do we have a bracket to look at?
We should have a short break, a short video, and then we will be just moving on. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you very shortly. We're going to an interview with HiThar.